What's up, guys? Jim Warren here. Hope you're all doing good. Today's story time, in my opinion, is a pretty funny one, so if you enjoy it, please do give this video a like. This story time took place around 2 years ago, and this was back when I used to eat a lot of edibles. Now, I would normally bake them myself just at home, and it was a lot easier than I first anticipated to be the first time. So I did it quite a lot, so I could just enjoy getting high outdoors without having the hassle to smell like I've smoked or anything. Because it isn't in my best interest to have the fragrance of someone that smoked like pot all day, right? Especially since the majority of my friends weren't 420 friendly. But yeah, this all started on a rather normal afternoon, but there was this dance competition, and it was a competition against a bunch of college schools in my local area, and they each had their own like separate dance group or whatever, and it was at a public place, so literally anyone could stop by and watch. Now, I'm not into like dancing or anything, but a few of my friends that were participating in the competition were some of the dancers. So, of course, I wanted to show up and show my support to them. So, now that you get the whole idea or situation that I was in during this day, let me tell you guys a little backstory before we go in full circle. So, I was kind of known for being a pothead or whatever you want to call it. And in full disclosure here, I'm not addicted to it anymore though, but I still do enjoy the camaraderie and the good vibes of smoking pot. But back then, I thought it was part of my genetic code or something. So, like, I was in love with it. And I was always posting stories of me, either smoking or making pot brownies and stuff. So, a day before this event that I mentioned earlier, a friend of mine, let's just call her Sarah for, some privacy. So, Sarah was a good friend of mine, and she hit me up asking, hey, will you be going to said dance event, right? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll be there just with a couple of my own friends for a bit, just to check it out and show some support. And she was like, all right, cool. I'll be there with a few of my girlfriends too. I'll see you there. And then she says, oh, but wait, can I ask you something? And of course, I replied, sure. And then she said if I could bring her some brownies. Now, obviously, I thought in my head, like, hmm, I could, but I wasn't really convinced enough. Because out of everyone I known, I wouldn't in 100 lifetimes expect her to have wanted edibles or anything with pot in it. So I was just dumbfounded and amazed, because Sarah sort of falls into the category of people that think weed's bad for you. So I asked her, like, why? Out of curiosity. Like, oh, maybe she's just a little more open minded now, or maybe she's just, who knows, right? But she tells me this. She says, oh, I just want it because it'll be cool to eat one in front of my friends. I just want one anyways, and I know you have a lot. So then I thought, huh, I see. So I replied with, sure. What the fuck?
I didn't get that. Could
Fuck
you
you,
try again?
Siri. Siri sabotaged my flow. Alright, I don't know. I don't actually know how to edit my videos. I'm pretty bad at it. I can't be asked to start from the top. Anyways, I treat these videos like as if we're having a conversation, and I'm just telling you guys a story from my past. But yeah, I remember after she said that, I thought, sure, I'll just see you tomorrow. So the next day comes along, and I completely forgot that we had that conversation, right? Because it was just like a few seconds of my time the day before that, and I don't know, I was just busy or whatever. But she calls me when I was getting ready to head out to the venue, and I had to like get ready before I leave. I had to get dressed, I had to make sure I bring my things with me, I had to smoke up. But she calls me to remind her to bring her the brownie. Now, I remember her telling me the reason why she wanted to have edibles, and she said something about her wanting to show off to her friends about it, and I get it, right? Like, I remember the first time I've tried something before, and it's always thrilling when you have first experiences. So I was like, yeah, sure, Sarah, I'll bring you some. But understand this, I would never want to be responsible of someone who gets high for the first time. Because, I don't know, I don't want to be liable for anything if something goes wrong. So I was like, you know what? I'll just give her a regular brownie without any weed in it. And her friends wouldn't be able to tell the difference anyways, because they've never had one before. So I brought the fake brownie, or a regular brownie, and I head out to the place where the dance competition takes place. And I brought along a disposable container so I could give her the brownie and she could just throw it afterwards or something. So yeah, I met a couple of my friends and we sat down for the show. Shortly after, I received a text message from Sarah saying she was walking and she was on the way. Few minutes later, just when the competition begins, Sarah arrives with like three or four of her own friends and they sit in a row in front of us. And then we just said hi to each other, and after things calmed down a bit, she asked, hey, have you brought the edibles? And she says it in a way how, you know that specific tone you give to razz people? Like I remember her vividly like speaking a little bit louder, maybe to let her other friends know like, "Oh, I'm taking edibles, look at me." But I was like, "Oh, I thought you'd never ask." So I gave her the container with the brownie in it, and this was a regular chocolate brownie, right? So when I gave it to her, me and my friends beside me just had this nonchalant grin to our faces, like, "Oh boy, I wonder what's gonna happen." Because the few friends I brought with me were like my stoner circle, and I told them about how it was a regular brownie and how it was just a lighthearted joke or an experiment, you can call it, to someone who's never tried edibles before. So they agreed with me and said it was probably like a good idea. I mean, edibles are monstrous anyways, at least if it was just your first time. But yeah, she eats it in front of her friends and, takes a couple snaps of it, shows it off a little bit as she eats it. And I swear, it took her like 5 minutes to eat the damn thing. Like anyone could have eaten it in just like 2 bites or something. At this point, we were just chilling, watching the people dance. And like I said, it wasn't really my cup of tea, but I could respect that. Competing in any competition in front of a crowd takes some huge cojones, so that's pretty awesome. But 5 minutes later, after Sarah eats the edible, she starts looking around and she just starts giggling a lot. And she was sitting at the row in front of me, so my friends and I were witnessing everything here. But then she starts getting distracted, ignoring the fact that there was a whole performance at the stage in front of us. And she starts looking up and down and left and right. And I hear her say these exact words to her friends. And she goes, "I'm like so high right now." And then she started giggling. I, I sort of had this mixture of cringe and laughter going on with my friends that were in the row behind her because she was saying all types of things to her friends, right? And I don't know, it was definitely funny for the moment, but she played the act for the entire duration of the event. And I don't know, I didn't want to squander her joy, alright? I didn't want to be a dick or anything. This is probably the first time exposing that the edible I gave her was fake. I didn't really tell anybody about it besides my friends that were with me during that day. But yeah, it was quite the challenge to watch. Anyways, regardless, this was a fun day. It's always a nice thing to do to support your friends if they take part in anything like a competition. Speaking of supporting friends, you can easily support me by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. So yeah, moral of the story I guess is to not make pretend you're on something when you're not, cause you can trick anybody but you can't trick yourself and it probably won't look good for you unless you're a gifted actor. This story time was a bit of a short one, but if you liked it, give this video a like. I'll leave another story time related to edibles in the description box, so if you want to check that out, check it out. I appreciate you if you stuck to the end of this video. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.